Hi students, and welcome to today's live IELTS class. My name is Adrian. I'm streaming to you from beautiful Budapest. I hope everybody is having a good week so far. In this class, everyone, we are looking at listening section, practicing and answering for part 1 and 2, and talking about some strategies along the way. Hi Janil. Hi Milind. Good to see our members. Nice to see you, Lydia, Ashraf, Bilal, Abhay, and lots of other students. Fantastic. Students, this class is presented to you by aehelp.com for academic IELTS success. Please visit us there. And for the general IELTS, check us out at ieltshelp.com, where we have lots and lots of materials to help you improve and score those high band scores. We'll be using the audio from our academic IELTS class today. Shaikh, I'm doing fantastic. Thank you for asking. And Verma, thank you for that feedback. I'm happy that you're here watching it, and I'm glad that you're learning. That's great. All right, everyone. So if you have any questions, you can always reach out to me with email at adrian@aehelp.com. And you can get our exam books from Amazon as well by searching for AE Helps Academic IELTS and GE Helps General IELTS. So you can get the exam books in electronic or hard copy to follow these classes. Today, again, right now, listening part 1 and 2, and we'll start in just a minute. Tomorrow, we'll have a flow chart for members, and then we'll have listening part 3 and 4 of this test tomorrow as well. This is test number 1 coming from our first exam book. So we're right into test number 1 here. And we're going to get right into it. Okay, so I'm going to just jump to our academic IELTS website here, which is this blue background. You can click that big red button to join our premium package there. Now, students, please answer on a separate piece of paper or a separate document, and then share your answers after we do the listening. Don't put the answers in the chat, okay, because that might confuse other students, especially if they're wrong answers. So wait until the end. I'm going to use my headset here to play the audio. So if it's quiet for you, please use a headset and turn up your volume, okay? So I'm just going to log into my student account, and it's going to be a little bit bright just because of the bright background, so my apologies for that. And you have lots and lots of resources here, so I'm just opening up our audio CDs, and then we're going to get right into this. Okay, so this is listening section 1, CD 1, track 1, as it's coming from test 1. Just double check that for you, but yeah, it is. Okay, so everybody get ready to start listening, answering. Again, don't put the answers into your chat, just put it into a separate document. Here we go.
This recording is copyrighted by 2 Think One Solutions Inc. and World ESL Tutors. You will hear several different recordings, and you will answer questions on what you hear. There will be time given to read the instructions and questions, and you will be given a chance to check your work. The recordings will be played only once. The test is made up of 4 sections. At the end of the test, you will have 10 minutes to transfer your answers to the answer sheet. Now turn to section 1. Listening section 1. You will hear a conversation between 2 men as one of the men registers for a football league. First, you have some time to look at questions 1 to 5. You will see that there is an example. This time only, the conversation relating to this question will be played.
Hello there. I'd like to register for the Autumn Men's Football League.
All right. In what town will you be playing?
I'd like to play in Chester, though I'd be willing to travel to Liverpool if I had to.
The man says he wants to play in Chester, so B has been indicated for you. Now we shall begin. You should answer the questions as you listen, because you will not hear the recording a second time. Listen carefully and answer questions 1 to 5.
Hello there. I'd like to register for the Autumn Men's Football League.
All right. In what town will you be playing?
I'd like to play in Chester, but I'd be willing to travel to Liverpool if I had to.
Well, we have 2 spots left open on the team in Chester and 5 spots open on the team in Liverpool. There's a very good chance you would have to try out for the team in Chester. Are you a good player?
I consider myself a good player, yes. I have been to a number of the Autumn Men's League games in the past, just as a spectator, and I'm sure I would have no trouble fitting in.
Okay, good. So we will register you for Chester then. I just need to get some information from you, starting with your position. Where on the field do you prefer to play?
I'm a midfielder, although really I can play anywhere aside from goalkeeper.
Oh, I forgot to ask your name.
Right, I guess that's important. My name is Steve Trammell.
Would you mind spelling Trammell for me?
Certainly. Trammell is spelled T-R-A-M-M-E-L-L.
Right, now I need your home address, including your postcode.
I live in Chester, of course, at 452 King George Avenue. The postcode is MS868P4.
MS868P4?
Yes, that's right.
And your date of birth, sir?
The 8th of September 1986.
Okay. Now I need your phone number. Just a mobile number will do.
I don't have a mobile phone right now, unfortunately. I can give you my girlfriend's number instead.
That would be all right, I suppose.
Good. Her number is 329-633270.
Fine. I think that's all the information I need to gather from you. Do you have any questions?
Yes, I do have a couple. First, when does the season start?
The season starts on the 28th of September, although your first game is later, I think. Let me check the schedule. Yes, your first game is October the 1st in Liverpool. Let me make a copy of the schedule for you.
Thank you. Could you also tell me how long each game is?
Each game has 2 halves, 40 minutes each half, so the game is 80 minutes long.
That's a little shorter than the other leagues I've played in. Games are usually 90 minutes.
Yes, our spring and summer leagues are 90-minute games, but our autumn league has only 80-minute games. I think it has something to do with the poor weather.
You now have some time to look at questions 6 to 10. Now listen to the rest of the interview and answer questions 6 to 10.
Okay. Can you tell me how many players are on each team? And I mean on the whole team, not just the players on the pitch.
Usually there are 5 additional players to the 11 on the pitch, so there are 16 players on each roster. We generally find that to be the perfect number. It allows for a few players to miss a game, but still allows lots of playing time for each player.
Yes, playing time is what I was worried about. I don't want to pay my money and then sit on the sidelines the whole season. Are there minimum playing time requirements?
Yes, each player must play a minimum of half a game, so you are guaranteed at least 40 minutes of playing time per game.
Wonderful. That puts my mind at ease. Could you tell me what facility we play at in Chester?
That information is on the schedule, along with the addresses of all the other facilities in the league. Here's your schedule.
Thank you. Oh, good, it states we play 2 streets from my flat. How convenient.
That is very lucky. Do you have any more questions?
No, I think that's it. Oh, wait, how much does it cost to register?
It's going to be £125 for the season, including all fees. How would you like to pay?
I'll be paying cash.
Right. Would you like a receipt? If you find that it doesn't work out time-wise, you can always bring the receipt back and we will give it.
That is the end of section 1. You will now have half a minute to check your answers.
And use that half minute to check your answers. Check for spelling mistakes, Check to see if your answers match the questions correctly. There's common mistakes happen there. Make sure you have the correct answers for the correct numbers. It's another one that happens as well. Okay. So, good. This is part one, okay? One of the interesting little changes in 2020 to the exam, they don't write section one on your test, they'll write part one. Okay, so just like in the speaking, that's just a little difference in notation. And then another difference since 2000 is there's no example. So in the audio and on the exam, you won't see this example, which is a little bit of a loss because that always gave you a little extra time to get familiar with what's happening. But they decided that there's no point, or it somehow doesn't work as well. So there's no example, okay? Now, many of you saw that were here at the beginning, that when they were doing the instructions, like this is the listening part of the IELTS exam, etc., I went forward a bit and looked at some information in part 2, in part 3. I didn't get to part 4, but I got a bit to part 2 and part 3, and I kind of had enough of time there to figure out what the topic of part 2 and part 3 are probably what's going on there. What do you think is the topic of part 2? So what is part 2 going to be about? You can only do this on the paper-based exam. If the examiner says, hey, please don't turn the pages, then don't turn the pages. But many students do this, and it works. Yeah, so Prashant says, can we look ahead in the online test? No, in the online test it won't work. But in the paper-based test it will. Actually, you know what, Prashant? I think one of our students actually said that they did look ahead in the online exam as well. So I think, yes, it might work in the online as well. Has anybody taken the online and tried this? Maybe you can tell the rest of us. I believe one of our members said, I took the online test and I was able to flip through. I tried. And they said, I think I was able to flip through. So you'll have to check that, Prashant. But I think you might be able to even in the online. Yeah, so Catherine says, yes, you can. Okay, so there you go. Catherine says, yeah, you can flip through in the online test as well. That's right. I remember Carolina, our member, said that as well. So, yeah, paper-based and in the online version, you can kind of flip forward and check the topics, okay? Don't look at all the questions, but check the topics, okay? That way, you can get an idea of what's going on. Did anybody catch the topic of part 2 before we answer these part 1 questions? We'll answer these in a second. But anybody catch the topic of part 2, what that will be about? It's really good because then you can think about it, or your brain can start working on it a little bit earlier. Yeah, Moria, very good. It's something about the Titanic. Nicely done. Anybody catch part 3? Yeah, Janelle, very good. It was something about the Titanic. Yeah. What about part 3? Yeah, Preeti says, I wasn't concentrating. You always want to concentrate from the very beginning. As soon as you go into your IELTS exam, students, get focused. Okay, get focused. So part 2 was Titanic, and part 3 was something about some kind of a group project or group work. Okay, so you're going to hear lots of people there. All right. Okay, so that's kind of my first tip, is use that instruction time to kind of flip through the parts and take a look at the other parts. Okay. All right. Okay, so now let's get to this. So how many football matches has the man played in the league? So first question, has the man played 10 matches in this league, none, or 40 to 50? Okay. All right. Yeah, it's B. Very good. A lot of you are saying the answer is B there. It was 0. Okay. Because the man says just as a spectator. So just as a spectator. So he was in the audience, but he's never played an actual game. Okay. When he asks him, have you been to any matches? And the man says, yes, but just as a spectator. So that means none. That was actually quite a tricky first question, but that was good. Okay, so just as a spectator. All right. Okay, very good. So moving along, if you don't know the answer, one important step you can always do is check the transcripts and see why you missed it. Okay? So see why you missed it. All right? So the next one here is, what position does the man play? So they start the kind of application process with this one. What position does the man play? Yeah, very good. He's a midfielder. So the answer is A. He says anything aside from goalkeeper. Okay, anything aside. Aside is like besides or except. Okay. Goalkeeper. Okay. So we know that it's definitely not goalkeeper. He doesn't really say striker. I mean, anything means that he probably could play striker, but he emphasizes midfield. You always want to choose the best answer. In this case, striker is an okay answer because he says anything aside goalkeeper, but the IELTS isn't just looking for the right answer, it's looking for the best answer. And the best answer here is A. So sometimes it's tricky, so pay attention, especially in parts 3 and 4, that some answers look okay, but there might be a better answer. Okay, so IELTS is looking for the best or the most accurate answer. And in this case, that was A. All right, so good job, Simran, Milan, David Beck, and lots of others who got that one correct. Okay, now here's a fill in the form. Be patient here. Usually the answers are coming in order. Sometimes they might be a little bit mixed up. Pay really careful attention to spelling. Okay, the first thing on the form is this gentleman's name. His name is Stephen something. Very good, Moria. Very good, Milan. The name is Tramel with a double M, double L. He spells it, he says it's Tramel. Okay. Now, a lot of students ask me all the time, is it okay to write all capital letters like this in the listening and reading? Yeah, it's okay. But remember, it's slower and easy to make spelling mistakes. Okay. Also, in your task 1, task 2 writing, you cannot write all capital letters. You have to use lower and uppercase correctly. Not to mention that it's going to take way too much space if you try to write all uppercase letters. So writing all uppercase letters, I know a lot of people write emails in English with all uppercase letters. I'll be honest with everyone, it's really annoying when people do that, and also when they write their message in the subject field instead of the actual description field. In the English language, if you write all uppercase in your writing, like, how are you? This is the same as putting an exclamation mark at the end. So when you're writing all uppercase in English, you're actually shouting. Okay, so learn to write using both upper and lower case correctly. Learn your proper nouns versus your common nouns, okay? For those of you that don't know, research common nouns versus proper nouns, okay? And you will get a lot of great information on that. Okay, common nouns versus proper nouns. These are always with capitals like names, and then common nouns are always lowercase. Okay. Devang, it's not that my network is slow. My network is not slow. Devang says your network is slow. No, I'm using ultra low latency streaming so I can interact with all of you real time. Okay. If I use high latency streaming, the quality of the video will be way better and there will be less lag. but I won't see your comments in time. Okay, I'll be on question 5, you'll still be on question 2. Okay, that's the problem. So for live IELTS teaching on YouTube like this, it's the best to do ultra low latency. That's why nobody else really does the same. Okay, it's something for something, unfortunately. Something for something. All right. Okay, and it's also on the YouTube server side as well. Okay. Okay, so here we go. So Stephen Trammell, yeah, that was good. Okay, and then what was the postcode? I can't memorize that. MS868P4, Toby. Yeah, that looks good. So MS868P4. Yeah, you don't need to worry about spaces. Just make sure it gets put in correctly when you transfer your answers to your answer sheet in the paper-based exam. Use capitals for this kind of, so use uppercase for this kind of postal code or string of letters and words, passwords, things like that. Use uppercase, okay? So MS868P4, okay, unless they say lowercase. My password is lowercase s, uppercase M, okay? So MS868P4, very good for all of you who got that. All right, fantastic. Okay, then they give the date of birth, and then there's a little bit of a matching question. It says, match the time with the event, choose the correct letter A to D. So here it's kind of like a multiple choice with number 5. So it's a very basic multiple choice. So number 5, Steve's first match. Is it on 30th of September, 28th of September, or the 3rd or the 1st of October? When is the first match? That was fairly easy. Yeah, good job, Puiti. Good job, Jainil. Leila, Prashant, nicely done. Catherine, that was D. Absolutely. October 1st. Let's see who was paying really close attention. Bonus question, bonus round. Lightning bonus round. Season start. When is that? So which day here is the correct one? If the next question, let's imagine that there's a second question here to this. When does the season start? It's my bonus question. All right, we've got quite a variety there. I believe the season starts on the 28th of September, so the correct answer would have been B. Okay, so always challenge yourself with the listening. And try to listen actively and remember as much information as you can. You never know what might be useful when you're going back and checking. So yeah, good. All of you who got B, you get the bonus round super thumbs up. That's right at you, Andy and Jainil and Alak Haider. Very good. All right. Active listening. Let's do it. All right. Alak Haider says 6 to 16. Lydia Gerges says there's 5 on the bench and 11 on the pitch, so it's 16 total. Catherine Peng says there's 16 players. Yeah, so here you just need the number 16. Have the word players. We don't need that. Okay, number 7, minimum playing time. What is the minimum playing time for each player? Moria says 40 minutes. Yeah, and you need minutes here. 40 minutes. Okay. That's the easiest. You need the minutes because IELTS will say if you write 40, we don't know if it's 40 seconds. That would be a very short playing time. But 40 seconds, wrong. It's 40 minutes, 40 hours. Well, let's hope you're not out there for 2 days. But it's minimum 40 minutes. Lydia, you don't need at least. You just need 40 minutes because we have minimum here. Okay? So, and it's no more than 2 words. Always pay attention to the instructions. 2 words maximum. Okay? And if you use lowercase for postcodes, no, you will not lose marks for that. It's just not as clear sometimes, so it's better to use uppercase, okay? Especially like if the postal code is L and you just do a line, it's difficult to know if this is a 1 or an L Okay, but if you do an L like that, so L0, 5, 6, then it's very clear. If you just do a line, it's kind of like, oh, okay, it might give it to you, but it's better to be clear, okay? Uppercase letters are clearer than lowercase letters. That's why I suggest using them for postal codes and for other similar kinds of data, okay, or demographic information. All right, bonus question. When do they play 90-minute games? Okay, so just checking your active listening again. Bonus. When are games 90 minutes? Okay, so they talk about that as well. Anybody? Summer is only a half point. It wasn't just summer. This was a little bit trickier than the last one. It's summer and summer is the easy get because remember probably something to do with the weather. Summer and spring. Right? So spring and summer, not in the winter, bien, definitely not in the winter. Okay? So summer and spring. Okay? This is the autumn, so this is the fall season. Okay? So summer and spring because it's better weather, right? Good. So active listening always. Okay, so multiple choice questions. Multiple choice questions, the trick is answer by yourself first. Okay? Don't just search for these. So as you're listening to, the man says he's lucky because he lives close to the field, right? And he's like, I'm lucky. I live so close. Just a couple of blocks away. And then I find the match. Okay? He was able to find a team to play on. There's a minimum playing time requirement. The playing field is close to where he lives. Toby, Mohammed Izzat, Leila, Urmi. Very nice. Monica. Yeah, C. He's like, oh, it's just a couple blocks, right? It's paraphrased. He doesn't actually say this. Okay? He says, oh, it's just a couple blocks from my house. And you can figure out that that means it's close. Okay? All right. So multiple choice, if you're trying to listen for keywords, you're going to be in trouble because sometimes they don't use the same words. It's paraphrased. So you have to listen for the answer, not for keywords. That's my second tip. Okay? Very important. Listen for the answer rather than keywords. Okay? Everybody clear on that? All right? It's more effective. Okay? Because sometimes there's no keywords. I live a couple blocks from where it is. There's nothing here in this sentence that the man says. You just understand it from the meaning. Okay? All right. That's my second tip there. Okay, so let's keep going. Couple more questions here. These are short answer questions. Good. I'm happy about all those thumbs up and all the grooves and jives. That's great. What is the cost of the football league? Okay, Manpreet, Simran, Toby. Yeah, you guys are all on the right track, and gals. Very good. It's 125 pounds. Pounds, dollar signs come before. So beforehand, 125. If you write pounds, it's okay, but it takes more time. Save time, okay? Use symbols to save time. Use symbols to save time. Okay? It's very important. So use pounds like this. Don't write pounds. Use dollar signs like that. Canadian dollar, American dollar. Okay, so euro, you all know how to do that as well. So learn those common ones, okay? And the very last one, how does the man pay for the registration fee? Credit, check, cash, money transfer? Toby says it's cash. Catherine Pang says it's cash. And Catherine, very good. Just all lowercase, right, Simran? It's not a proper noun, so you can just write cash. It's a common noun. Cash. Cash it is. Okay? Don't write money. That would be wrong. There's a lot of different forms of money. It's paper money, so it's cash. Okay? All right, good. Count up what you got. So what did you get out of 10 for those of you who are in the class from the beginning? Another tip here. Your goal for part 1, okay? So part 1 goal is 9 or higher. Okay? 9 or we can say more. Okay? 9 or 10. If you got less than 9, 8, Manpreet, it's not bad, but you want to get as high as possible. Shubaraj says 10. Toby says 10 and no spelling errors. Very good. Namra, happy to have you on board. Great. Yeah, so 9 or 10. The reason why is because you will likely lose more marks in part 2, 3, and 4 than part 1. Part 1 really is the easiest part of the listening section. So you want to maximize your score there, certainly. Okay. All right, everyone. So far, we're doing really great. And I think you have a lot of good ideas. Now, many of us know that, hey, we're going to be learning about the Titanic next, right? Titanic coming up. Something about the Titanic. Very famous boat that sank. Anybody know where the Titanic sank? Which part of the world? Just for fun? Well, not fun. It's a tragic event, but anybody know where that Titanic sank? So Mohammed says Atlantic. Mohammed, you're on the right ocean for sure. Okay. Meanwhile, I'll get back to our audio. I know it's bright. It's just for a second. Okay. Let's get this going here. Yeah. Yeah, very good, Raghav. Yeah, in Canadian waters in Newfoundland. So us Canadians, like myself, yeah, we tend to know this. It was headed for New York, and it was just about to kind of go south before it sank off the coast of Newfoundland in Canadian waters. So, yeah, it's really unfortunate. Back in 1912, I believe. Yeah, so it's stuck in the bottom of the Canadian part of the Atlantic Ocean, and it left from London. All right, everyone. So we're going to do part 2 here together. And again, save your answers separately, not in the chat. Give everybody a fair chance to answer on their own. Okay. Again, this is coming from our materials on our websites. We have 6 full exams on both general and academic, and we're adding 4 more this year. So here we go. We're going to start here. Again, if it's quiet, turn up the volume on your side, turn up the mic, and I'm going to play this. So here we go, everyone. Do your best. Focus, center yourself, listen, and answer, and then we'll share the answers together after. Okay, here we go.
Now turn to section 2. Take some time to look at questions 11 to 16. Listening section 2. You will hear a radio presenter interviewing a woman about the infamous ship Titanic. First, you have some time to look at questions 11 to 16. Now listen carefully to the interview and answer questions 11 to 16.
Good afternoon to all our listeners and welcome back to History Now, a weekly program that reflects on subjects of historical influence. Today we are going to speak with Dr. Andrea Smithson, an historian at the University of Glasgow. Good afternoon, Andrea.
Good afternoon, Peter.
What are you going to talk about today, Andrea?
I'll be talking about one of the most catastrophic events in maritime history, the sinking of the Titanic.
I can't wait for you to begin.
Thanks, Peter. The Titanic was an enormous ship. The makers called it unsinkable. From end to end, it measured approximately the length of 3 football pitches. It had the capacity to carry over 3,500 passengers, as well as the over 800 people on the crew of the ship. Despite its massive size and impressive capacity, the Titanic was able to cruise at a speed of 40 knots. This was in large part due to the 59,000 horsepower engine. Just how much is 59,000 HP? Well, in literal terms, it's like being pulled by 59,000 horses. More realistically, it's the equivalent power of 500 cars. On the maiden voyage that left Southampton, England, on the 10th of April 1912, there were 1,343 passengers and 885 crew members. There were 3 different classes of tickets for those aboard the Titanic. A third-class ticket was the lowest level ticket. At the time, it cost between £3 and £8. A second-class ticket cost about £12. A first-class ticket cost anywhere from £30 all the way up to £870. In today's money, £870 is over £20,000. You may be wondering what the people in the first class were paying for. They had luxurious rooms on the highest decks, delicious meals for breakfast, lunch and dinner, as well as the finest entertainment money could buy. On the other hand, those in third class slept in cramped rooms which were quite plain and small and did not have access to the fine restaurants and entertainment on the upper decks of the ship. Now I'd like to tell you about a few lesser known facts about the Titanic. Although there were 4 large funnels, or smokestacks, on the Titanic, only 3 of them were functional. One of the funnels was put there just to make the ship look even bigger and more impressive. The ship carried over 70 tons of food for the passengers, including over 40,000 eggs.
You now have some time to look at questions 17 to 20. Now listen to the rest of the interview and answer questions 17 to 20.
On the night of the 14th of April 1912, on her maiden voyage, the Titanic hit an iceberg. About 3 hours later, early morning the next day, the ship sank. The reasons for the sinking are numerous. First, the watertight doors, which were supposed to keep water out, didn't work properly. Second, the night of the 14th of April was incredibly calm on the water. Icebergs are easily spotted when there are waves crashing against them. On this night, there were no waves. The strength of the metal in the Titanic was not as it should have been. The metal became brittle in the freezing cold and was easily broken by the iceberg. Another big factor was the inability of the Titanic to turn quickly. Once the lookouts had spotted the iceberg, the captain ordered the ship turned, but it was too late. If the ship had been able to turn faster, it would have missed the iceberg. One of the biggest tragedies about the sinking was that there were not enough lifeboats for everyone on the ship. In addition to this, many of the lifeboats left the sinking vessel with less than half of the people they were designed to carry. For example, the first lifeboat off the Titanic left with only 27 of the allotted 65 passengers. This unfortunate occurrence can be attributed to panic on the part of the passengers and crew. One can only imagine the sheer terror on board the ship that early morning. 1,523 out of the 2,228 passengers and crew perished that morning. Most died from the near freezing temperature of the Atlantic Ocean. Others drowned after being trapped in the lower decks. 705 people lived to tell their story, most of them women and children who were put on the lifeboats before the grown men were. Because of this, 94% of the first-class passenger women and children were saved, while only 14% of the third-class passenger men survived. Overall, 60% of the first-class occupants survived, while only 25% of the third-class ticket holders lived in the aftermath of this tragedy.
That is the end of section 2. You will now have half a minute to check your answers.
And again, students, check those answers in that half minute. Sometimes students go to the next section in that half minute, and that's not good. So you want to check your answers. You will have time to review the next section after, okay? So check your answers. All right. Here we go with the answers. Fatime is asking, when are the live classes going? Fatime, we always have our class schedule on our YouTube community post, so you can check there, and it's at the beginning of every class as well. All right, so let's take a look at number 11. What was the overall capacity of the Titanic? 800, 3,500, 4,300. You have to understand this collocation here, overall capacity. It means total. Okay, this is an inference type question, so the correct answer is indeed C because it's A and B put together. So 800 crew plus the 3,500 passengers equaling 4,300. Okay, so the total capacity, crew and passengers together is C. It's a little bit of math there. And these kinds of math inference questions are very popular for not only the listening section, but oftentimes you'll see one or two of these in the reading passages as well. So really pay attention for those kinds of inference, basic math type questions. Okay? So correct answer, C, 4,300. It's 800 crew plus 3,500 passengers. All right, here we go. Next one was, again, you had to listen for the answer, so don't try to stare at the choices, but listen for the answer. What was the cost of a third-class ticket? I was listening for the answer, and I heard that the cost of a third-class ticket for 12 was also C, yeah, between 3 and 8 pounds, okay? So C is the correct answer. Use logic. Okay, students tip, they use logic. 30 to 380 or 870 pounds, that seems way too expensive for over 100 years ago. 1 to 2 pounds almost seems a little bit too good to be true to cross the Atlantic in any era. So 3 to 8 pounds makes the logical sense as well. If I had to guess, if I didn't know, and I must guess, and I'm thinking, okay, back in the 1900s, what would be the value of a British pound? And to cross the Atlantic, I would go, probably about that. Okay. All right. Now, question 13, 14, 15. The order doesn't matter. It's 3 questions in one here. I call these the multiple choice question. Okay. Tip for this one. Write the answers as you hear them. Otherwise, you might get lost. Okay? So write the answers as you hear them. So you hear beautiful rooms, beauty rooms. Okay? You hear great food, so you can write down food. Great food, fantastic food. Okay? Entertainment, you write down entertainment. And the correct answers here were B, C, and D. So very good, Moria. Very good, Toby. It's 3 out of 3. Catherine, nice job. Mahil, good, well done. Hat Patel, very nice. Looks like most of you got that. So yeah, it was B, C, and D, and hopefully you were writing. You were using this trick, writing them down as you hear them. So these were the 3 correct answers. In this case, it was kind of lucky that they were in sequence, okay? Sometimes they're more spread out. Sometimes you have more choices even. So write them, okay? Be really careful. Write them down as you hear them. Even in your computer-based exam, you do have a pen available and a pencil so you can write it down. If you don't have it, ask for it, okay? So B, C, and D, which makes sense. Okay. Watertight doors, that's silly. Again, logic, right? Access to casino, that one, who knows? Lower deck rooms, that's probably not for first class ticket. So E is the only one that's kind of maybe confusing, but anyway, here we go. This was identify the image question. Which of the following best represents the Titanic? Is it A, B, or C? So the only difference here is 3 chimneys or smokestacks, 4 and 5. So did it have 3, 4, or 5? Yeah, 16 is B. Very good. So you answer B here. One of them was not working though, right? So maybe this one in the front, maybe the one in the back. It wasn't actually a functioning smokestack, right? Whew, imagine all the smoke that came out of that thing. All right. Thank goodness we've improved our technology since then. All right, and then we had a little break, and then we had this interesting flow chart that was a little bit out of order, but you could make sense of it. Flow charts are usually in order on the exam, but there's no guarantee, and sometimes information is repeated, so you might see it later in the flow chart, okay? So here you had to fill in the words. For number 17, it says, extremely calm night. No, something crashed against icebergs. What was it that was supposed to crash against the iceberg so we could see it? Okay. Milan says, I think it's waves. Catherine agrees. And a lot of you do. Yeah, it was plural, and it was waves. Waves. So here you can kind of listen for some key words. Okay, crashed against was definitely used. So calm night. Now, if you're thinking about this, you might be able to guess this as well. So logic. Logic. Use logic. Okay, logic is really important. All right, so no waves. The Titanic hits the iceberg. The watertight something fails. What fails? Mahbuba says it's the doors that fail. Ashraf says it's the doors. Yeah, and it's plural again. It's not one. It's watertight doors. Okay? S's are really important. If there's no S here, it's wrong. If there's no S here, it's wrong. So doors, very important. Okay, and now we get to the next one. Many something left the ship half full. What left the ship half full? You should be able to get this one. Lifeboats. Yeah. Mahbuba, very good. It's one word. Good, Vien hard. Very nice. Yeah, lifeboats is one word, everyone. In English, it's sometimes tricky to figure it out, but if you say it, you realize that it's lifeboats. We don't stop for lifeboats. We just say lifeboats, okay? It flows together. So life, boat, and in this case, again, plural, lifeboats. One word. If you write 2 words, they can mark that wrong, okay? Okay, so technically, it is a spelling mistake if you have 2 words, and spelling counts on IELTS. These are kind of the tricky ones, the testing for the Band 8, Band 9 students, okay? All right, tragedy, super sad. 1,523 people died. That's a lot of people. Most from the freezing cold temperature of the what? They die from the freezing cold temperature of the, Atlantic Ocean. And you have to be specific here. Atlantic, there's a lot of different Atlantics. It's the Atlantic Ocean. Big O, big A. Small a, small o. It's wrong, okay? If you have a big A, small o, it's wrong, all right? So make sure that your O is huge, okay? Make it a gigantic O so that they're very clear that it's Atlantic Ocean with a big O. It's part of the name. So bemol, if you write it with a small O like that, it's going to be wrong. Big A, big O, all right? Really important. All right, everyone, that's fantastic. Good job. What did you get out of 20? So part 1, part 2, what was your score from 20. Your goal for part 1 and part 2, if you want to get a band 7 or more, your goal should be 16 or more, so 16 plus, okay? If you're getting less than 16, really work on your active listening, really work on your strategy, and use our courses, okay? It's worth spending a few dollars to get the best score possible on your exam. So if you join us at ahelp.com for academic, or glshelp.com for general, and you can just even improve one band on one section, it's been worth the investment, okay? So be smart, invest in your learning, okay? Good materials cost money, good help costs money. It's just the way it is. It's very rare to do it any other way, and then you might just waste too much time searching. Okay, great job, everyone. Tomorrow, I will be back with listening section part 3 and part 4. Lydia, 15 out of 20, it's really borderline, okay? You want to try to get at least 16, all right? Toby got 22. That's fantastic. Spelling can be difficult, Vienne, but you got to practice it. That's it for me for today. I will be back tomorrow. Task 1 for members. Everybody's welcome to watch. And then listening part 3 and 4 from this exam for tomorrow's All Chat class. Thank you so much, everyone, for participating. Really nice back and forth today. Keep up the good studies. Use English as much as possible, not just for IELTS. It opens many, many doors in the world today. So get the key. Learn English. Have a fantastic rest of your day. Sweet dreams to all of you getting ready for bed. And hopefully I'll catch you all tomorrow. I'm Adrian signing out from Budapest. Bye for now.